You want to be my pumpkin?
Yes, I want to be your
Sit
pumpkin.
be my pumpkin till Greg gets here.
Mm.
There we are, Lime. Now we just have to open the pop-up chat. Who are you, strange pumpkin?
I am double pumpkin.
You're a double pumpkin?
Yes, I'm very.
Why are you a double pumpkin?
Because I was built this way.
Baby, I was born this way. You were actually.
Mm-hmm.
This is twin number 2. Last couple weeks ago, you met twin number 1.
Yeah.
As you can see, we're in beautiful Viking Valley. Gudvangen.
Beautiful.
It's dark outside and rainy.
Yeah.
And you're sitting on me. Up. First, we can say hello to Charlotte and Lyra and Nell.
Hello.
It was frostier when I got here yesterday night. And there's snow in the mountains, but there was not snow on the road here, which I thought was pretty good.
There was some snow.
Twin number 2. So I have a gift. You want to come and be the gift?
Yeah.
This is the gift. Not very Viking. Okay.
But amazing at the same time.
We're amazing.
Torun says hello, Karin, and the twins. They're keeping. Everybody is sitting on on me, including myself.
We are so nice.
This is not working out.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Greg on his way. Virginia is working from 1 to 9 today, which means she is working right now. So I screwed that one up. But that's okay, because Greg is going to sit with us almost the whole time, and he has come with a story. Hello from Runa and Heidi. Oh, Heidi. That's too many Heidis. Say hello.
Hello, Heidi's.
We had a little chicken adventure today.
It
And a
escaped
mouse.
and got stuck
And
in a wall.
A mouse climbed into the food bin of the chickens and then got stuck there. So my kids had to go on a rescue mission.
And the chicken got stuck in the wall.
He didn't get stuck in the wall. He went through the wall and got
Yeah, he went through the
Outside.
wall and he tried going in again through a wall and then he got stuck. So I had to
hole
go get him.
patched.
patch.
Let's see. Torun's Craft Studio says, hello, Jilly2 Tat. Hi there. You made me jump because I was looking at TV listings. That's okay. We like that. We like it when people jump. And Lily Isabella is here. Hello. And Peru de Florida. Hello, pumpkins.
Hello!
Pumpkins. Not very historically accurate.
Pumpkins
So are
probably
these.
exist.
No, but I need to see what I'm doing.
Yeah, me too.
So, got caught in the rain. Do you want to go tell Greg that we're ready? Tell him we're live.
No, too far away.
This is he's built us a library.
That's not a library. That's
It's
a
the big-
bookshelf.
Yeah, but it's a library with all kinds of books on needle binding and things. Hello from Austria, says Cornelia. And Karin is back from Arizona. I think it's Karin that she says. That was the one from last week. And Regina Di Giovanni is here, and Julie is here. They say, hello, pumpkins, and good morning from
Hi.
California. Good morning from beautiful Norway.
Not so beautiful in the rain.
So hopefully Virginia will be
coming?
able to stop by, but
Ooh, what
sneaking
books do you
suspicion
have?
she's in the going to be
What
in
books do you have?
the store all day. Huh?
What books do you have?
Go look. Go
But
find your
someone's
favorite craft book.
wondering.
Go look.
Someone's wondering.
Yes, but go look and see.
Someone's wondering what books you have.
Well, Ed, there's only one way to find out.
Let me see. Let me see.
We have arts is safe.
So go and grab a couple and we'll show them.
We have
Oh, and Heidi's in here too.
And textiles.
Okay,
I grabbed 3 books.
show what you got.
Okay.
And I'll start needle binding. And
I
then-
start, Alex.
Shh, one at a time.
I grabbed 3 books.
Okay, you show me a
Grab
book.
one textbook.
The techniques of sprong.
Sprong. Does anybody know what sprong is?
No.
No.
I don't know if this is a good book or not, but we will find out. Sprong is basically you have a bunch of cords hanging down this way, or they're hanging like that anyway, and you twist them, the strings, and it makes a netting. And if you don't keep track of it, and one of the pins that are holding everything in place comes out, then the whole thing unravels. But it basically makes something that looks a bit.
I don't think it shows.
No, I will find it and then it will. I just need a picture.
Can't take forever.
Well, yeah.
It's a big book.
Kind of can look like that, but you can get very complicated with patterns too. There's a lot
And
of
then
scratch.
my second book
I don't know if that's
is
Viking though.
Birkebeinere.
Birkebeinere. Who's Birkebeinere? This was actually made into a movie.
What?
Wait, really?
Vikings on skis.
Bad idea.
Hmm.
But anyways, book.
Then you got
And
one more.
then the third
I don't know if
book,
that's a Viking book.
Magnus Chase. No one.
Rick Jordan's Mongoose Chase.
Okay,
No idea.
my turn.
Okay, you
I
get to one
have-
more book and then we're done.
textiles and
I hear Greg,
textile
go get 'em.
production in Europe.
What could go wrong?
Everything.
Textiles and textile production in Europe from period
Hello.
Hello.
from prehistory to 8400. We're looking at your. Oh, there he is. Good, come save me. Okay, up. You have to move.
No.
Yep.
Bye.
Okay. So we got lots of people
She's still here.
in wonderful Viking Valley, but don't worry, I
Hello.
found Greg. We can. In beautiful Viking Valley, Gudvangen is so gorgeous here. Can't you just love the view?
Well, we could just Photoshop some mountains in the background.
We could. Well, we can
We
decorate
need a
this.
green screen in
What
here.
can we do? Because it's
Or-
going to be a
or we
long
can
winter if
paint
this is the only
mountains.
wall we get to
Hey?
look at.
Mom, you can paint mountains.
We can paint mountains.
You're really good
I
at
don't think they
painting.
would like that if I did that. Heidi and Runa is here.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
No. There's a lot of people here. And Prude is here. She's the one that insisted you tell a story today.
Yep.
And because Virginia is stuck in the store, maybe we get more than one story. He's not ready.
Hang on, I said one story.
You know, but I will take advantage of one thing, though. He is a guide. If you have any Viking questions, especially in
She
mythology.
likes dropping me in it. This is
Yeah.
This is what she does.
I'm
on a
throwing you under the
weekly
bus.
basis.
I had a last minute change of plans, so I'm using you for that. Donna Stewart is here. Asylum Farm. I like that one. Good morning from Wisconsin. That's my neighbor's state. And get away. Annalisa Kofir. Hello from Austria. We have two from Austria now. Torrance Craft Studio says we've heard of it, or I've heard of it. The Sprong. We were showing Sprong.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know the history? Here's some more pieces of it. The history of Sprong, how if that actually is Viking or not, because there's a bit of debate on it. Oh, I
Well,
just scared the crap out of him. Okay,
Textiles? Really?
no. I don't.
I know leather. Come
I
on.
don't know if Sprong. There's debate as to whether that's Viking or not, but pretty sure it's pre. I don't know. It's homework. We'll find somebody. Or I'll read the book. I could do that.
You read the book. I'm
I
not
know how to
reading
do
that
Sprong though.
one. You're going to teach me how to tablet weave.
Oh, that's a good idea. Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you that?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it's been a while. Lyra says I finished the first Project Mittens. Yay! But everyone keeps saying that they look like Frankenstein's monster, and they're not wrong. Frankenstein's monster is usually a goal that I have when I make things. I want things to look like Frankenstein's monster. I think you should skip. Tell them it's for Halloween. It
Looks
was
quite
supposed to be that
authentic
way.
if you do it that way.
I think so. It's supposed to be.
Looks hand done.
It does look handmade. Nothing looks more handmade than wonky. Let's see. Lyra writes, oh no, she just wrote that. And she broke her needle. Lyra broke her needle.
Oh dear.
That's not good.
That's not
Greg
good.
doesn't
If only
understand.
Runa were here and could make you a new one.
Mom, we
What?
have a few in a row.
Yeah, Jilly
Viking-
writes that looks
Viking
very
funeral?
familiar.
Ship
And
formation. We need to build a ship.
but those monsters are warm monsters, right? Oh wow, we got a lot of texts. You guys are very active today. Brutus says, Greg, yay! See, you're
Hello.
saving me. Actually, you've got quite a little fan club going here. Turun says, hey, Greg. Lily says, hey, Greg. Charlotte says, hello, Mr. Monk.
Hello.
Yep. And we still got more. Julie says, Greg makes my week full circle. See, they don't want me. They want you. That's right. I can't bring you Virginia as advertised, but I can bring you the Viking-looking monk. Actually, he wasn't quite.
I've converted.
Mm.
I've seen the truth.
Yep. So actually, it's been a little bit of a different week here. Do we have anything to say about that? Oh yeah, we've come out officially on that one now. No, that we have winter closed except for bookings.
Oh, yes.
Pre-bookings in
Yep.
advance. That's basically
Pre-bookings in advance, and we are opening hopefully sometime in the spring.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
the plans.
So that is it's a bit of a corona winter decision. Nobody has corona, but corona is affecting our
Mhm.
numbers. Nobody can get in the country, and we only have Norwegians
Yep.
basically, and that's not enough. So we are winter closing, but people can still book and come, which is what happened today. We had, there was a lot of people that came.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good number.
25 in the group,
Mhm.
and so yeah, it wasn't a bad number at all.
No, I had to teach them how to cook.
Bad at all.
I can't cook. No,
This is why I cook all the time in the village. I mean,
you're making.
I am making. Well, actually, no. I'm teaching how to make quiche today. Anders is the one making it.
Historically
You're
accurate
also
quiche.
teaching where butter lives and where milk lives.
Yes, he can't seem to work this out. I'm a bit worried that he's not worked that out over 40 something odd years.
Anders, the blacksmith, is being taught here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm teaching him that, but I am making the dessert, which is going to be a custard tart. It is not apple crumble this week.
It's a tart. He's making tarts.
Oh, we made the top.
So juvenile.
He's British, you know, tart in British. I am a juvenile person.
Mom, this week we made a type of crumble.
Did you make one in
Yeah,
school?
we made
Yeah.
an apple crumble.
Okay, let's see. Can we?
I'll teach you how to make crumble.
Perfect. Julie says, Textiles in Europe is my dissertation work, and I have used that book. Oh, good. We should read that one. That's the one that I'm now using as a computer stand. Greg makes my week, says Julie. Full circle time. My firefighter was born in Wisconsin. One Polish monkey. That's a new one. Hello from Kansas. One polished monkey. I made one Polish monkey. That's a little something different. I like that name. Iron Age, right? I think sprang is either Iron Age or Bronze Age, but I don't know if they actually used it in the Viking Age. That I got to check. There's been a little
It's sprung again.
sprung.
Sprung.
Some people call it sprang, but it's sprung. They call it
English,
sprang,
I
but
say
they're
sprung.
sprung. Oh, that's such a bad. That was so bad. Runa says, hello, girls and Greg from Truendelag. We are sitting on the couch with our phones. Oh,
Hello.
that's quite good. Runa, I hear, has gotten a hold of an Icelandic chicken and is going to drive how many hours in the car with a rooster?
With a rooster? With a rooster?
Can you? Yeah, with a
Yeah,
rooster
it's a
in his.
rooster.
He's going to drive the rooster.
Which means we've got another chicken for dinner.
Yay!
I'm not gonna
because
eat
we
that.
can't have two
I am
roosters.
gonna eat it.
No, we do have to switch out the roosters because if this rooster were to make, if we were going to keep any chickens at this point, any new ones made at this point, they would be
We would have a
inbred.
bit of a problem.
We
let's
would have
put it
some
like that.
inbreeding. This is the biggest nut.
No. Karen. That's the biggest knot.
Oh no, I have to braid his hair. It's not good. You don't want to see it. I think I've got
Anyone who follows Karen's stories and saw the wool comb stories, I've done it again.
see. Okay,
I don't learn, apparently.
I spun his hair. Basically, when you leave a braid in for too long, it becomes knotted underneath and matted underneath, and he did that. And then I had to get the big the big wool combs. They basically look like flipping nails.
It looked like something Freddy Krueger would use if he didn't have his gloves.
Oh yeah, definitely. Edward Scissorhand couldn't take it.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I had to use those on Greg's hair. Got all the knots out, but wow, there's Sophie sitting there with a leader going, "Find your happy place, Greg. Find your happy place." He got real quiet, and that's how I knew it was starting to. Anyway, when there was so much hair left over, like I'm going to spin this. I did. I spun your hair. We have a pretty good chunk.
I'm a bit disappointed.
That's
I'm
not-
not seeing it in the embroidery
I've been
yet.
embroidering on him, but I'm not quite done yet. You can still see the ring.
And like a little hair part on the side.
So I decided I
think
was
she's going to add a
to.
lot of hair to it,
Mhm.
actually.
So I'm going to embroider his hair into it. And a little bit of Sophie's hair and a little bit of Carl's hair because the three of you have such different hair color.
Didn't you get some red hair from
I did. I
someone
got
the
some
other
red
day?
hair from the Insta Vikings that were here.
I'm going to have a hair tunic, apparently.
It's going to be hairy.
Harry Potter.
Julie writes, I've got a
Oh, dear
bone null
lords.
binding needle here, 1/4 inch long, and
Thought it's
I've
hairy
never done it
snatcher.
before. You will learn. You will learn. Okay, well, if you want to start, I would start not with anything this thin. I would start with, this is
Oh,
like
God.
figure 8.
Are we talking needle binding now?
We're talking needle binding. This is my...
I know nothing, so
No.
I'm going to just disappear.
But you don't want to start with anything this thin. Start with something that's pretty fat, like Eskimo, or something pretty thick,
Fat.
because then you'll be able to see the stitches better. Otherwise, everything looks. This is a tighter stitch, and it looks very lacy. Well, actually, it doesn't when you're looking at it there. Maybe if I put it up to the window.
You should have brought
No.
socks to show what happens when you give them to people like me.
Oh.
Needle-bound socks.
Yeah, that's you're actually a quite good thing on the tour to have. See, now the nice thing about when I tell people, okay, if you don't know what needle binding is, it predates knitting and crochet, and it's a series of knots that makes something a bit like the cover photo. This is a different stitch. The upside or the downside is you have to constantly, you're working with ends of yarn, so you have to constantly splice on new yarn all the time because you can only work with a couple meters at a time, depending on how lazy and brave you are, both ways. But the upside is huge because if you pull on this string, it just tightens. It doesn't unravel. Well, now you can see how loose that is. Anyway, this is a good thing for Greg, who has null binding socks and likes to make holes. I don't know what in the hell you do, but you've got like, He destroys them. I make him a pair of socks, and with 1 week, he's got huge holes in it. And I swear to God, my work is not that bad.
No,
No.
your work's not bad at all.
No,
My
no.
feet, on the other hand, are absolutely atrociously, awfully good at eating socks.
Yep.
Doesn't matter whether it's needle bound or modern, they
Nope.
will go through them within days.
But the knitted ones, they would unravel, but the needle bones won't. So basically, you
Mhm.
can cut off where the hole is, find the end yarn, and just pick it up and bind
In my
right back
case,
on
this
again.
means cutting off about half of the material on it.
And we have a joke. Sometimes we let you take your foot out of the sock before we chop off the toe.
If you notice that I'm limping, you know that they didn't allow me to do that.
So that is the thing with needle binding. But if you're going to start with it, I would, for the first time, I would start with the Oslo stitch. There's quite a few videos on that and a couple different ways to do it, but it's essentially the same thing. And some really thick yarn. And one thing is when you make a chain, for example, this is pretend it's a chain. If you make a chain and it looks all curly on the back of your thumb, don't think about it too much because when you stretch it, it'll all lock into place anyway. And if you have an ugly start, you can actually just cut off the start and it will be just as if you had a nice start the whole time because it doesn't.
I know
unravel.
nothing about what she's talking about at this point.
I know.
This is why I need her next to me if we're doing the tour and needle binding comes up.
That's okay. I have him down when we come to the Norwegian gods, the Norse gods.
And then it's my turn.
And then it's his turn. Bring on the monk. He knows all about Norse mythology.
I'll talk about all 70 gods if you gave me the option.
Oh, Arlene Cross made it today. Good morning.
Hello.
Well, good evening for me. It's looking more and more dark out there.
This is why we're indoors.
This is why we're indoors and it's raining. I was going to try to walk around for the first half hour, but cloud
It's
cover
raining.
and rain, it's not going to happen. Let's see. Tourists is saying the books on spring are expensive. Someday I'll get it. I'll get them because it's a craft that interests me. There's some pretty good YouTube videos from somebody in Denmark. I think they work at Ribbe, R-I-B-E museum. Those are good to check out and some nice big starter ones. Jilly 2 Tat says, I think I've got Colburn's split weaving book somewhere and his tablet weaving book. We could have brought the needle binding books to show, but I borrowed a couple of them for my class this week. We can do that next week. The needle binding books and show.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie says, roosters are illegal in this town and in my daughter's town, Sacramento, so no fertile eggs. Really? They have a chicken population problem. Maybe, I
Okay.
don't know. Lyra is also from Kansas, so we've got like a little reunited now. Lyra and one polished monkey are best friends because they're from the same state. We had 2 from Wisconsin and 2 from Austria too. Let's see, they're talking to each other. It's all beautiful. People have joked about the knitting interpretations of Sprong by Barbara Walker in the second treasury of knitting patterns for years. I'm going to trust you on that one. I haven't tried Sprong in a couple of years because I started teaching needle binding and needed to do more about that.
And again, I am lost.
Charlotte says, wave. She's waving like a mad Viking over here.
Okay.
Can you wave like a mad Viking
Okay.
back?
Well, I can wave
You
like
can
a mad
be-
Viking back.
You can be madder than that.
Hello.
He's too British. He's too nice.
I'm really British.
Get
Come
pissed
on.
off, Greg. Get pissed off.
Well, I need to go and see what Anders is doing to the quiche. Then I might.
Well, then you'll piss me off. Okay. Oh, and Mirik is here. Tabernavarjantis. I forgot to write people in here, by the way. Tabernavarjantis, they are the ones that make all my
Hello.
wooden kitchen stuff. Yeah, that's Mirik and Dorota. If you know the blue tent in the Viking village, or Viking markets in Norway and Scandinavia. So I will write, by the way, hello from Viking Valley, Gudvangen, so you can see what we normally look like outside. Again. You can see what Virginia's doing. Veer Sama on Instagram and YouTube. She should be here, but it's a screw up in the planning. There you can see what Greg is doing. Greg has got you're new on Instagram in that one.
Yep. I'm very, very new, so there's not a lot of content yet. I'm actually in the process of building a forge and workshop at home, which is why
Called
I'm
a
not
Wolf
posting.
Slayer
Wolf
forge?
Slayer Forge.
Yeah.
Which is why I haven't posted anything for a while, because it's a little bit of a massive project which has taken up a lot of time. But as soon as that is finished, I will be posting more content again.
Yeah. Then we'll get there. But it's okay. It's to see what you're up to.
And I might be asking for some help with the Instagram stuff because I'm not that knowledgeable on it, shall we say.
Kitchen needs, I think. Anyway, I'll just put Viking needs. No, you should check them out. I also help out with his social media. Okay. He says hi. Me and Greg.
Hello.
Yay. I don't know if he's waving like a mad Viking over there, but I'll just Maria Hale is here. Good morning, evening, Europe and the rest of the world. Why don't you mend the socks instead of cutting? It depends on the hole.
Believe me,
It depends on the
with
hole,
me,
yeah.
you can normally, but my feet don't allow anyone to get to that point. It just eats the sock before anyone gets a chance to repair it.
No, it does.
So-
It goes completely to pieces. It's I don't know what I mean. He blew out the heel. He blew out the let's see. I am breaking gingerbread at the moment. Karin or Greg, what spices would you use in peppercorn? What do you use in peppercorn? Ginger.
Ginger, for
Yeah.
the most part.
Yeah, that's why they call it. Doesn't.
There are
there's no
other
pepper.
things you put in as well, but
You want to make
I'm-
Norwegian peppercorn?
I haven't made them yet. This is something I'm going to be making towards Christmas. Then I can answer that question much better. But at the moment, I'm mostly doing English dishes, which is why I'm not that good with that at the moment. But ginger is certainly a key ingredient to how we make it.
Yeah, I haven't really tried. I know there's that song. He said, "Oh, my peppercocker, mocker, bucker, peppercocker, cocker." So, no, Orange is gonna laugh at me now anyway. But part of his kilo pepper, the whole kilo of pepper. I'm pretty sure that's not right. I have to take this off. It's not raining in here. There. So, do you have any Viking related questions or history questions or something while I have a guide here? I know Julie Johnson usually has some pretty good ones, and it's kind of fun to watch you guys twitch. I am doing the needle binding. I was going to bring the gloves I had with a dollar and a stitch in the front picture. But anyway, when you see it, you'll see there's a very different texture between that stitch and this one, which looks more like normal needle binding. You can see it. Dollar and a stitch looks woven, which is why I like it. So I'm using finish 2+2 on this one. And it is really skinny because I have to see if I can do it. But you tell me about the Varangian Guard. I want to know about the Varangian Guard. You call them Vikings for hire.
Yeah, I call them Viking mercenaries. The Varangian Guard are, generally speaking, often they are outlaws. Couldn't think of the word then. Often they have committed some sort of crime that has enabled the society in their homeland to basically outlaw them. And so they have fled the country because if they don't, they have absolutely no legal rights at all, which means anyone can kill them without fear of repercussions. And so it's not really a good idea to stay there. Some of these people end up in and around the Byzantine Empire area. And most of these people are very skilled with specific tools, in particular, or weapons, I should say, in particular, the Dane axe. And the Dane axe, for those who aren't sure what it is, it's a very long-handled axe, which is very good for catching an enemy's shield and pulling it down and making an opening to get through to your enemy. Very, very good if you're fighting in a shield wall formation. And the Byzantine people were very, very impressed with this style of skill. And so the emperor actually started hiring Vikings, the outlaws, that is, as his bodyguards. And by bringing them as his bodyguards, he now is able to get through to the enemy much better than anyone else at the time could feasibly do. And this gives him quite a big advantage over many other people. These people obviously become known as the Varangian Guard, the personal bodyguard of the Byzantine emperor, and they are paid extraordinarily well. They are some of the few Vikings outside of the Jarl class or the King class who could afford vast quantities of silk fabric and could in fact have entire tunics made of it, very good to wear underneath their armor because silk is very good for catching certain piercing weapons like a bow. If it goes through the outer layer, it can, if you're lucky, be stopped by the silk. This is something that they used elsewhere, but I won't talk about that because that's not Viking related.
Oh, we need to go
What's that?
No, we need to go Viking.
Yeah, exactly.
Viking or needle binding at this point.
But this meant that it was a very good fabric to have. And many of these Varangian Guard were extremely wealthy, but can't come back to Scandinavia because they will be killed on sight by anybody who doesn't like them. One of the few people who actually was a Varangian Guard, but not because he was an outlaw, just because he was a mercenary for hire in his younger days, was actually Harold Hårfagre, which is why he could afford silk.
So Harold Finehair in English?
Yes, yeah. Harold Finehair in English. And that's why he could afford silk before he became the king. So there's the Varangian Guard.
You're wearing silk.
I'm wearing
slowly,
silk.
yeah.
I'm starting to wear silk.
Starting to. I don't know if they can see it. It's so weird lighting in here. But there we go. We'll just stare at his boobs and the ring that used to be on there. And will go back on there. The embroidery hoop. So he's got a bit of a circular chest.
I'm not Tony Stark, don't worry.
Ah, nice. That's not very Viking.
No, I know, but we're talking circles in the chest. I mean, you can't pass that up, can you?
So Julie Johnson writes, Greg, in 750 AD, how hard was it to get the temperature high enough for your forging blacksmithing? It's
actually not particularly difficult, but it is very, very time consuming. The reason I'm saying this is because okay, you don't have access to regular coal, so you're going to have to use charcoal. Charcoal does burn at a slightly cooler temperature than coal, so that does make it a little bit difficult. But what the Vikings actually burned to get the temperature higher is they actually burned bones, and bones burn at a much hotter temperature, meaning that you could start forge welding and doing things like that, using that as a substitute for regular coal that we would use in coal forges today. The problem comes with the air intake, because you need a vast amount of air coming in constantly in order to heat it up to the required temperatures that you need for forging. And that is where you have a little bit of problem. And that you would require either someone to physically work the bellows for you constantly, or you're going to have to be running backwards and forwards a lot, and that would mean that you end up extremely tired, extremely fast, basically. So often a beginner apprentice, their first job in the forge would actually be to work the bellows. There is no set period of time how long they are going to go from working on the bellows to actually working on the metal itself. It could be anywhere between 6 months and a year. The good thing about an apprentice doing this isn't just that they are giving the master blacksmith enough air intake to actually forge. It also means that while the master is forging, the apprentice gets to watch what he is doing and gets to learn by watching. And also it means that while working the bellows, it's actually quite a lot to work these bellows for long periods of time. So you build up muscle. If you don't build up muscle within a certain period of time, then you're never going to build it up fast enough. And therefore, if you can't build the muscle, the blacksmith would dismiss you from the forge and you would have to find a different career path. If, however, you are good, but then you turn out to be absolutely useless and can't learn what you're actually supposed to be doing to work the metal, then you also get dismissed from the forge. So it's actually got several stages before you are at least guaranteed to not have to worry about being dismissed as an apprentice blacksmith.
I'll have to get some of those bodybuilding Insta Vikings we had last weekend and the UFC champion. And a lot of them were bodybuilding Vikings. Holy crap.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say there's a couple of good questions. Heidi says she's got silk dress. I've seen that one. It's quite beautiful. It's very soft. That makes her a very rich Viking.
Very, 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 very rich.
But you know what? More, it's comfort matters. So there's one I will ask you more specifically. But as far as Lily writes, what are your thoughts on embroidery and reenactment for richer craftsmen's wearing on their dresses? I actually have embroidery on my dress, and I will show you. I have to stand up for this one. This is the one I thought I wore the other day when this came up. All right.
I'm sat
Here we
on the dress, apparently.
I'm using it to tell a story in petroglyphs. If you can see it, this is me in the United States or somewhere over in Vinland. I can tell I'm a female because I'm dropping an egg. These are all petroglyphs. Then a very well-endowed Norwegian comes along and takes me back with him. And somebody points out that the egg is on board. I thought that was cute. Then we get married and make babies. There was no petroglyph for babies or kids, so I did these two, which actually ends up looking like a political party in Norway, which is an accidental thing, so I'm gonna have to remake them, but the sun is real. But these are my twins. And then, now we get to the fun part. Something happens, and my ex is no longer on the boat.
That looks like you've got a club in your hand.
We don't know. This could be a woman. This could be a man. We don't know, but he's no longer on the boat. Did he fall off? Did he get pushed
Mom,
off?
It
that's
kind
a
of looks
club.
like you were playing. What's it called?
We don't know.
You were the sport where you do this. I don't.
Cricket?
Something. Yeah, maybe cricket.
Cricket with your.
And of course, nothing I own is
That's
done.
what I
So
was
this one
thinking.
will eventually be
Cricket.
2 kids and
Exactly.
2 cats and some mountains in the background, happily ever after in Gudvangen.
My husband cricket.
Yeah.
You missed the goal and it fell into.
So I like using embroidery to tell a story. And we're actually doing one with yours, the 2 Loki things.
Yep.
There has not been too much found, but the amount of textile in general is not very many. And from what
No.
I understand, according to Siri, a lot of embroidery and textiles, etc., were just thrown away when digging as part of miscellaneous women's work, so they didn't think it was worth keeping. But it have to be, the conditions have to be just right to have any of that survive. But they have found some. The Malmen find, for example, has these are in the Viking Ship Museum in Oslo. There's a couple of them anyway. So they have found some. And what my theory is personally, and it's purely a theory, when you are weaving on a loom, you will have always little leftover pieces. You do not need much, especially in silk. You don't need very long threads to embroider with. You can find examples of their wood carving everywhere. You can find graffiti everywhere in the Viking Age. So they clearly had a lot of flair for style, and they had a lot of flair for expressing themselves in graffiti and everything. I would assume that if you only needed this much string and you could make a picture with it, why not? So that's my theory, is you wouldn't waste anything. And if you had it to use, you can take those small short pieces of string, splice them together, and needle bind with them. So but I have no proof of that. That's just my theory. So it's it's always been a debate, embroidery in, I don't know if I'd go over the top too much. I think you're gonna go. I'm not quite done with my dress. I will have boy toys along here because my Viking house doesn't pay for
I
itself.
generally think of silk as being, silk embroidery as being the next step down from having an entire tunic made of silk. Embroidery in general,
you don't need much silk to do embroidery.
Whereas embroidery in general, I think that was slightly more common. Don't quote me on any of this. This is just my personal
mine is all pure
theories.
theory. It's just personal opinion.
But if I look at it, embroidery was possible. We know that.
We know they did it.
We know they had. We know that they were very good textile workers. Ergo, they probably did have access to embroidery in general. I do not believe that anywhere near all of their outfits would have been embroidered. They probably had 1 or 2 that were embroidered, which they would bring out when they are being fancy, basically. But if you had a silk one, then obviously that is reserved for very fine occasions, unless you're extremely, extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it would have usually had just plain work clothes. Basically, what Karin and I are wearing today are very, very finery because blue, red, silk, embroidery.
Boobs.
Yeah, it's very, very fine stuff.
But Heidi's silk dress takes the cake.
Oh yeah,
gotta say
definitely.
that. You got a whole piece of fabric. That's a lot of little pieces of threads woven together.
Yep. Absolutely. And to answer the question on where they got the silk from,
that's the one I was going to tell you. Yeah.
Constantinople would have been the main place they got it from. So they would have gone there. And at the time, Constantinople was the furthest north on the silk trade
The
route. So it was
Miklagard?
brought over land. It's
Is it Miklagard?
Istanbul today.
Istanbul today, but before was it?
It was called Constantinople at the time, I believe.
That's why he's a guide.
And so this is how the Vikings got their silk. They went to Constantinople and they traded for it and brought it back here. Hence why it cost a lot of money. And the last question that I can see directed specifically at me about being rented for the dissertation.
Yes.
How much are we talking about? It would have to, how much are you offering per hour?
Oh yeah. We will get you. I still think you gotta do little YouTube or little videos at least. You can put videos up on Instagram, for example, little 10-minute videos, 2-minute videos of your little stories. We have a nice little collection. I think you should do it. Either that or I'll just keep pimping you on here. And I'll say, well, Virginia couldn't be here today, and I've got some needle binding in this wonderful, beautiful background. So in Viking Valley, Gudvangen. So I think.
And this monk just occasionally walked by.
Oh yeah. No, we're
No, the
definitely gonna
monk's
have him
been
on there.
burnt. I burnt him.
He
earlier.
burned the monk. Well,
He's
Kristen
gone.
did write that she was going to burn the monk.
Sorry,
That was
Kristen
her
burnt
job.
the monk. I just happened to be standing nearby when he got burnt.
Mhm.
As in, I got very hot.
Doro is here. Hello, Doro. Definitely, you should post your stories. The stories. Well, I mean, you're retelling stories, but you could almost make some up too. But no, you're retelling, and you have lots of them. But you should definitely post yourself telling stories. I think that would be good. Because I think Carl, I made him tell the story of Rollo, and then there was a couple of weeks, and then I had you there, and I had you telling a story twice, and you're kind of a permanent fixture now. You have to do it. So if we want you to tell more than one stories, because we're a little out of questions here, we have 30. We're at minute 36 out of 60.
Oh, come on! You said one story. I've.
Yeah, but then I found out Virginia had to be in the shop when I was recording today. So
Talk to Alex and Cecilia for a minute, folks.
the pumpkins, yes, very historically accurate pumpkins I have over there.
My medicine?
We'll get later. But I can say, for example, now that I threw you under the bus with the Varangian Guard,
Mm-hmm.
did they ever fight in the north or just?
The Varangian Guard.
Yeah, where were they fighting for the most part? Wasn't it in the more mainland Europe? Southern?
Yeah, mainland Southern Europe.
Did they ever do that in
mostly.
the north?
I'm not sure that the Varangian
Stop.
Guard did. If I'm remembering correctly, they didn't.
Yeah.
However, that's not to say that the tools, armor, etc., didn't get used, because I believe that would have been brought. We're talking Vikings traveling to and from that place, even when you haven't got Vikings who are actually outlaws and members of the Varangian Guard. So they're going to pick up on tactics. They're going to pick up on techniques. They're very adaptable in this particular regard. So I'm certain that they would have brought back some of the equipment the Varangian Guard did, but not the members of the Varangian Guard themselves, because as the Byzantine Empire is basically the tail end of what had been the Roman Empire, they were kind of trying to consolidate power towards the east rather than trying to retake the west, as it were. Ergo, the Varangian Guard didn't really come this way.
No.
I believe.
Were the Varangian Guard throughout all of the Viking time, or just one?
No, they came around a little bit later into Viking times, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Especially from the armor that they had was quite different to what mainstream Vikings were using at the time. So, yeah.
Well, I was kind of curious about that. I just didn't realize. I see she's asked about the stitch in the video. It is a very unique. It is one mistake. The Dalarna is the one that's in the video, or not the video, but the front of this. It's one mistake away from Oslo. You start with 2 loops on your thumb. Use a thicker yarn though. Don't use this is too thin. Don't use this thin yarn. It's just that that's what I happen to have on me. So just like Oslo, sorry, runaway yarn. You have 2 loops on your thumb, if you can see that there. Old one, new one, and the yarn goes. How do I do that? You hold it like that. There we go. There we go, if you can see it anyway. So 2 loops on your thumb and the yarn coming. This is assuming you're right-hander. This old loop, you take that off and away from you, or if it's just like Oslo, if it's away from you and you start there, same thing. But when you turn, you don't go under everything like you would before. You go under the thumb loop, leave it on your needle, close like that. This one goes over as well. And then pull it through and catch the new one on. Now I have this one on the left is my old stitch. And this is my new. So you go away for you through that one. That, and you turn and you go under, off, under the leader yarn. Put your thumb there before you pull it through, and then you trap the new one on your thumb. That is Dalarna. If you go to, I will write the link, New Lockentot. I'm probably saying that word completely wrong. We'd need Nell over there to tell me the right way to say it because she's Finnish, but I will write it. It's Dalarna stitch. It's quite easy. The only thing is when you're starting to connect the second row, it's really easy to twist it, so you have to kind of be careful there. Find a tutorial on www.en for English. Lockentot.fi. And then you can see how to do that. But use a thicker. You don't want to use a super thick yarn because it's actually quite dense and it looks. But this fingering weight is ridiculous. This is just a test yarn for me to try.
I have absolutely no idea what Karin has just said at all.
I'm so glad we have like our own skills. You're going on and on about the Varangian. Like,
Yeah, that's fine. No,
but I own your ass.
I think I'm going to stick. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to stick to history, cooking, and leatherwork.
She says I'm getting much better at saying New Lockentot. That's the Finnish person saying that.
Well, that's good.
So you know. No, this is not the most ideal yarn for needle binding with, but I had to test it. It's I got it at a knitting festival last year. It's some hand dyed stuff with organic colors, but it's superwash and polyamide, and it's meant for socks, and it's super thin yarn. If it was knitting, it would be size pin number 3. Anyway,
That's for socks.
Yeah, but you're using knitting needles number 3. Not for you. You can't handle the socks.
Socks?
Yeah, you would rip a hole there. No, but I because I like the yarn and I wanted to test it, I bought 1 skein. This is enough probably to make 2 hats. This is, and it's only 50 grams, but there's so many meters in this thing. 210 meters. But the reason it says 25% polyamide is because to add a little strength. Do you know, back in the day, when they would knit socks and things, they would use a bit of their hair in where the heel is, or they would actually work some of the yarn and a piece of the hair through to give it a little bit of extra strength.
I think this will work on my feet.
I have a lot of your hair.
This is why I'm asking.
I'm going to have a lot more of it soon.
Oh, yeah.
So that is what, anyway, it's a little kind of a thing, but that's why they put polyamide in it. This means also that splicing the yarn together is a bit of a trick. If you're going to spit, which we will find out because I ran out. But you could use something a bit thicker than this. Maybe not quite as thick as Eskimo yarn, but something a lot thicker than this to try that with. So that's how I made the one. That's the blue ones in the video. Wow, I'm having a good hair day today. But definitely give it a go. It is actually, it looks daunting because you actually have to take the whole thing off your thumb before you finish the stitch. But it's only 1 mistake away from Oslo. You just take the thumb loop in the opposite direction. So it's actually not that hard. And then you have to be a little extra careful when doing the second row. But after that, it's easy. And it looks like, for those who can knit garter stitch on the inside, it looks like it's got ridges on the inside, but the outside or the right side, the side facing you as you're needle binding, looks like it's woven. It's very unique. So look at him. But that's okay, because you know what it is. It's story time. Tell us the story, Greg. And I'm giving you lots of time to do it.
I gathered.
Oh, don't worry. I'll make him tell another one. No, but then we can add up some questions for you here too, and while you're telling. So tell a story while I try to figure out how to splice superwash polyamide yarn.
Good luck. So I'm going to tell you the story today of how Thor got his hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And as with almost all of my stories that I keep telling, it is another story that starts with Loki. And the reason that this time it starts with Loki is this is actually in Loki's earlier days of being with the with the rest of the Aesir gods. And what Loki does is he thinks it to be absolutely hilarious to pull pranks on all the other gods. And quite often these are quite harmless pranks, but let's just say the other gods are not particularly tolerant of this. Anyway, one day he goes a little bit further than normal and he decides that it'll be awfully funny to cut off the hair of Sif, Thor's wife, in the middle of the night. What made him decide to do this, I will never understand, but he thought it was a hilarious idea. You are not cutting my hair off. No.
If you're not going to comb it. No, okay, I'm sorry. Continue, Sith
I will
Lord.
stop telling stories. Everyone, if I stop telling stories, you know
Sith,
why.
you said something about a Sith?
I didn't.
No.
What?
Sith, the hair thing cutting off.
Oh,
the hair.
Sif.
Sith.
Sif.
Not Sith Lord. That's
Yeah, that you're going cross stories here.
okay. I'll shut up and stick out. Yep. Continue.
So after he cuts off the hair of Sif,
Mm.
he decides it's going to be funny just to wait until she wakes up. And this is a very bad idea on his part, because the first thing Sif does is she goes crying to her husband, Thor. And Thor immediately jumps to the conclusion that Loki has cut off her hair. Of course he has, but if you ask me, that's a little bit of an unfair assumption, but hey-ho. And so Thor goes after Loki and is in the beginning process to decide to kill him. And Loki is trying to barter his way as much as possible to surviving. And the only way that he can think of is to promise Thor that he will get her some new hair. And he says to Thor, I will get her hair much better even than what she had before. I will have the dwarves make her hair of real gold. And Thor stops his fist from connecting with Loki and says, if you can actually pull this off, maybe I won't kill you. So Loki runs off down to the dwarves' homes. And he goes to some that he has heard about many times, the sons of Embroidery. But he decides this is going to be a very good chance to actually get away with making up for any of his past deeds. So he decides not to get just one, but to get as many gifts for all of the gods as he can possibly get. And so he goes to the sons of Ivaldi, and instead of telling them what he's done, he says to them that they have been deemed to be the best smiths in all of the 9 worlds, and the gods would be honored for them to make them some items. And the only condition being that one of the items that they make has to be hair for Lady Sif. And so the dwarves, honored by this, agree and start to make the items for them. The first item that they make is a ship, and the ship is such a large ship that it actually is able to have every single member of the gods on board at any time, and yet at the same time it is capable of being folded up and tucked away into the gods' pouch to carry around with them when it's not in use. And they give this to Loki with instructions that this is a gift for Frey. So they then start working on a second gift, and this gift turns out to be a spear, Gungnir. And this spear is the spear of Odin. And they embed this with much magic so that when it is thrown, it will never miss its mark, and it will strike true and end whoever Odin's enemies be. And then the final gift they make is, of course, the hair for Sif. And as Loki had promised, they spin this of fine, genuine 24-karat gold. And again, they weave it with magic. And this time they weave it in such clever magic that once it is attached to Sif's head, it will literally bind to her head and will grow as if her real hair. So therefore, her hair from then point is genuine gold. It's not just that she's golden haired, she has gold hair itself. So Loki leaves and goes back towards the gods. And on his way, he walks past the forge of another two dwarves, these being Brock and his brother Etri. And he decides that he's going to get as much gifts as possible, as I mentioned earlier, and now he's going to trick these dwarves into making it as well. But he believes that they are not as good as the sons of Ivaldi at forging, so he's going to play on their pride. And so he goes into them and he starts showing off the gifts that the sons of Ivaldi has made to the gods, and starts saying about how absolutely incredible these gifts are, and no dwarf, no smith in any of the 9 worlds could outmatch them. This obviously angers Brock and his brother, and they immediately argue and say to Loki, we can make better gifts than these. Loki genuinely does not believe this. And so he says to him, well, I tell you what, you make these gifts, and if you actually do make better gifts than what the sons of Ivaldi can make, well, you can have my head as a trophy.
Yay.
Very bad idea.
Oh.
So off Brock and his brother go, and Brock takes a large piece of metal and he throws it onto the forge, and he tells his brother whatever he does, he must not stop working the bellows.
Oh.
Now, exactly, working the
This
bellows.
is where you need those bodybuilder
Absolutely.
Insta-Vikings.
Absolutely.
So the blacksmith, okay.
And so Loki wants to see what they're doing. So he turns himself into a insect. What insect differs depending on the story. I generally think of it as into a wasp. And he flies into the forge itself, and he watches them working on their project. And Loki gets scared, and he gets very scared. And what he sees is incredibly bad for him, even though it's going to be incredibly good for the gods, because what they are making does indeed appear to be better than what has been made so far. And so while Brock is looking the other way, Loki flies down to Brock's brother, and he stings the brother on the thigh.
Oh, sorry, thigh.
And he's hoping to distract him. And yes, Etri does flinch, but he continues working as if nothing had happened. And Loki flies back into the waiting area and turns back into himself. And when I love the imagery of this going on here. And so he flies back into the waiting area, and Brock comes out with the first of the gifts. And this is Dropnir.
Oh.
And he gives this to Loki with the instructions that this is a gift for Odin. It is a gold ring, and every 9 days it shall drop 9 more rings of equal worth and equal amount of gold. So this is an ever-flowing wealth. And Loki scoffs and says to him, well, you can give us this, but we are rich already. What have we for this? Just bravo at this point. And so Brock goes off in a huff back into the forge, and Loki again turns himself into a wasp and flies in. And he starts watching again. And this time he sees them making something even better. This time they're doing something with magic as well. And so not only is it steel, there is also hide, and there's lots of other things being put into this next item. So again, Loki is fearful. Brock again has to leave the forge for a while and tells his brother to keep working the bellows no matter what. And Loki again tries to distract the brother. This time he goes down and he stings the brother on the back of the hand. Like that. And again, Etri flinches, but he doesn't do much more than that. He might make a little shout, but other than that, he continues. And Loki goes back to the waiting room, turns himself back into himself, and waits for the result. This time when Brock comes out, it turns out that they have made a boar, a magical boar for Frey. And this boar, like Frey often is depicted as being the harvest god, this boar is a way of helping Frey with the harvest, because it glows with the same brightness as the sun, and it can run across everything: land, water, air. It can go anywhere. So it's also a means of transport for Frey. Again, bravado Loki scoffs at this gift and says to them, well, the sons of Ivaldi have managed to making a ship that can hold all the air, so I'm sure this is nowhere near as good as that. Brock again goes off in a huff into the forge. Loki again follows, and as he goes in, he starts watching the most best gift so far, and of course, the one that Loki is most afraid of. And this time, when Brock has to leave temporarily to work on something else, Loki takes no chances and he flies down to Eitri. He lands on his forehead and he stings him right in between the eyes. Thank you very much. And I can say this is very, very, very annoying and
Are you
frustrating.
distracted?
Oh, yes. Ow, that one hurt.
Well,
Yes, and as I am doing now, Eitri lets go of the bellows, and so everything starts to go to hell. And Brock comes back, and Loki very, very happily flies off into the other room to wait to see the result. Luckily, Brock is able to salvage most of the project. The only problem is that when he comes out with his gift, this being a gigantic hammer, the actual handle is much shorter than was desired. And he says to Loki that now they will go to the gods, and the gods will judge whether they have won the bet or not. So off they go. And Loki starts off by presenting all the gods with the items the sons of Ivaldi have made. Odin takes his spear with much gratitude and much wonder at the finery of it, as too does Frey take the ship with much wonder and awe. And Sif, she's not so much wonder and awe, but she is certainly happy to finally not be bald anymore. And as soon as she attaches the hair, it starts growing as regular hair would. Then Brock presents his items, and the gods are again awestruck. First, Draupnir, the arm ring to Odin. Absolutely incredible gift. Odin is very, very honored to receive this. Then Frey, the boar, and again, very, very honored to receive such a gift. But then comes the hammer. What Loki didn't know up to this point is the properties that the hammer has. And so when presented with this, the gods are awestruck and Loki is absolutely terrified, because Brock presents this hammer to Thor and says to him, this hammer for you will always return to your hand no matter how far you throw it. It will always strike its mark, and whatever it strikes will die with one blow. Yes, the handle is short. However, with your immense strength, you will have no trouble wielding this at all. The gods then discuss, and they declare that Brock and his brother Eitri have indeed won their little bet. And Brock gleefully jumps with a knife in hand, ready to claim his prize of Loki's head. Loki, however, he is very, very quick all the time, whether it be on his feet or whether it be with his mind. And his silver tongue starts lying as fast as he can possibly do so and discovering as many loopholes as possible. And he says to Brock, yes, yes, you may have my head. It is part of our deal. I will not ever renege on a deal. However, just as Brock is about to take the head, Loki says, but you cannot harm my neck. This was not part of the agreement, so you cannot hurt the neck. This, of course, stops Brock from claiming his prize. Infuriated, Brock yells at Loki, well, if I cannot take your head, I can at least stop your lying tongue. And he takes out of his pocket an extremely sharp awl, and he makes holes in Loki's mouth.
Oh, let's try that.
You're not doing that. No way.
Okay.
And he stitches Loki's mouth shut to prevent him. No, you're not stitching the mouth shut either. Stay away from my mouth.
I need you storytelling anyway. Continue.
Well, that's the other thing. No more stories. This is the second time that Karin has endangered storytelling this week. Anyway, he sews the mouth shut. And okay, wedding of Skadi next week. That's on the list for
Oh
next
yeah,
week.
you've got him next
There
week.
you go. And so once the mouth is stitched shut, Loki runs out of the hall. Now you might have thought that the rest of the gods would actually be trying to help Loki, but no, they sit back and they laugh their heads off while his mouth is being sewed shut. And this is kind of understandably why Loki eventually turns against the gods. He's not particularly impressed that his so-called blood brother did not try and help him to not have his mouth sewn shut. And so as soon as he gets out the hall, he rips the stitches out and he vows his vengeance. And this is how Thor got his hammer, and at the same time, why Loki turns against the gods.
And why his shaft on the hammer is a little short.
And that's 1 minute left before...
No, you did perfect. You were exactly on 1 hour. So that is awesome. There's one question there. I'll make you answer before we leave. Question, what trade route was Moscow on? Do you remember?
Wait, it's been one. Oh, it's
Hey,
been
what's
1
that?
hour.
Yeah, what trade route was Moscow on?
Yeah,
You know
this
that
is a very good question, which is better directed at Carl, so I'm going to find that out.
Could this be homework for next week?
This
then?
is homework
This is homework for next week.
We have
because-
homework for next week.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Also, Papagano in the magic flute. Remember, he had to wear a padlock for telling lies.
Okay.
You know that one? Oh,
No, I don't.
Well, we got him
I've
homework now
got
too.
homework as well.
You've got homework as well.
Yeah.
So that's good because
Send me that question because
I
I
will.
need to look
It's
this
in the
up.
chat, but I will save it for you.
Yeah, well.
Thing is, I don't know how, because we have different hours this week, and we weren't planning on having the shop open from 1 to 9, which means it also covers the hour that we're on YouTube, and so I don't know how that's going to work with Virginia's
1 week
schedule.
on, 1 week off.
Oh, so maybe then she can come next week then. Yeah, because
Probably.
if not, we'll come up with a couple of backup
Almost
plans until everything
definitely, I
gets
would
back
say.
on site. So, which is good because I will make you my slave, and I'll talk about textile things that make you go, and then you can, and I'll be like, and it'll be perfect. So there you go. Thanks for playing with us. For put up with us. We will see if we can do something about our scenery. If you have any suggestions, I was thinking about doing it in the store, but that would be distracting. So.
Wedding of Scaldi is next week for certain.
That was a good
Wave to
one.
the pumpkins. I'm waving at the pumpkins.
Prude will send you a Facebook message about it too, so you can
Yeah,
look that up.
no problem. That will be good.
So we'll have some
Excellent.
topics. We'll see if we can get Carl in here, but he just doesn't do YouTube. So that was a one-off. I think it was episode 26.
Yeah.
So rewatch it. Okay, we're gonna leave you. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.
Right, now I've got to go
Bye-bye.
and teach Anders.